In this episode of Travelogue, we go from walls of dragons to the most famous wall in the world. Ride together with me as I write my own motorcycle diaries in Datong, along the remote ruins of the Great Wall of China. Welcome back to Travelogue in China, and to the second episode of our three-part series in Datong. This is the second largest city in Shanxi province, population 3.4 million, and it lies around 350 kilometers directly west of Beijing. My name is Min-Zhui Lee, but you can just call me Zhui, and my job is to take you traipsing around China and to teach you how not to fan dance. I know, I'm meow-tea talented, but that was catastrophic. Anyway, Datong has a remarkable history spanning over 2,300 years. At one point in time, for an entire century, it was an imperial capital, the political, economic, and cultural center of northern China. Currently, I'm wandering around the ancient part of Datong, the Old City, an area measuring 3.3 square kilometers, enclosed within fortified walls. Datong was a major strategic center during the Ming Dynasty, from the mid-14th to the mid-17th century. Recently, a lot of work has been done to rebuild the Old City and restore its Ming majesty. As I meander through its courtyards, I can certainly sense its aged yet ageless spirit. It's the perfect way to start the morning, navigating the network of grey brick alleyways and then pausing for a sip of steaming tea. No kidding. But no more feline puns, I promise. I swear I'm not a caffeine addict. There are just so many little boutiques for beverages here that I feel obliged to sit down and drink and just unwind with a book. This cafe is nestled on Gulou East Street, Gulou meaning drum tower. Just as it was in its heyday, this is the liveliest quarter of Datong's old city, crammed with traditional dwellings and famous shops. Today, the businesses aren't as well known, but they're welcoming and well-suited for conceiving great ideas. Did you know that the ancient Chinese believed they were descended from dragons? And that's why these mythical creatures play such a significant symbolic role in Chinese culture. Now, I've heard of Datong being referred to as the Dragon Wall City, and that's because there's a whole bunch of these walls or screens with dragons carved onto them. So I've decided that I'm going to go on a dragon wall hunt. Let's go. Got my bag. Don't forget my phone and map. All right, I'm back out on Gulou East Street, and I'm going to try and find the biggest dragon wall first, the Jiulongbi in Mandarin, literally translated as 9 dragon wall. With a bit of digital help, yeah, admittedly, I'm not the best at figuring out directions. It doesn't prove too difficult. Yeah, I found it! Come, come, come! No way was I expecting something this gigantic. I'm absolutely dwarfed by its size and splendor. Wowza. So this is the magnificent 9-dragon wall of Datong. And in fact, there are only 3 of such walls in all of China, 2 of which are in Beijing. But this one is 250 years older than the one in Beihai Park in Beijing, and also 3 times larger. But there is another major distinction. So the dragons on this wall only have 4 talons on their claws, whereas the one in Beijing, they have 5 talons, and that's because the 5-talon dragon was the mark of an emperor, and this wall was only built for a prince. Shame. Still, marvelous, isn't it? Dragon walls were built in front of royal residences or temples for both practical and symbolic reasons, to shield the space from prying eyes and to provide protection in the form of heavenly guardians. This one was built in 1392, facing south in front of a princely mansion. To be precise, he was the first Ming Emperor's 13th son. Lucky number 13. We've ticked the main one off the list, so let's now try to find the smallest walls, which only have one dragon on them. When in doubt, which I clearly am, just ask a friendly Datong local. Well, supposedly there are quite a few of these one dragon walls here in Datong, and they all have their individual characteristics, but I'm not going to waste my time finding all of them because there are 3 5-dragon walls awaiting us, and I suspect they're a little bit nicer. 我问一下，你们知道那个五龙壁在哪里吗？现在那个五龙壁是怎么走的？ All right, number 1 out of the 3 5-dragon walls, outside Shanhua Temple. Gosh, these digits are just so confusing, and so is this map, and all the different directions locals have given me. The light is fading, and so is my enthusiasm for this self-proclaimed great idea of mine. But just as I'm about to give up, there it is. I may or may not be going a tad insane on this dragon-themed expedition, but on the bright side, it's forcing me to see so much of the old city. Not too long ago, Datong was labelled a city of coal for its booming coal mining industry. But considerable progress has been made in loosening its dependence on the fossil fuel. And with the refurbishment of its ancient city, the transformation is huge. Right before the doors to the Confucian Temple closed for the day, I managed to squeeze myself in. I was here earlier. The entrance is where I found the one dragon wall. But silly me, I didn't look inside. There's no time to stop and pray or worship the great Chinese philosopher, Confucius, because even after this, there's the final dragon wall to go, and daylight is fast running out. Oh, finally! Well, this is the 3rd and last 5-dragon wall in Datong. I've got to say, it hasn't been the most relaxing mission, and yet there's still the last little leg to go. Are you coming? You'd better be. I swear I've been on this wild goose chase all day, wild dragon wall chase. I still can't seem to locate the 3-dragon wall, but I've just noticed this taxi driver right here, and because taxi drivers are all fountains of knowledge, I'm going to ask him whether he knows where it is. I'm sure he does. 师傅，您好。请问一下，您知道那个三龙壁在哪里吗？
知道呀。
在。
但是它不在市区里面。 它是在城的外面的。
哦，原来我找不到了。哦，那您可以送我过去吗？
可以，没问题。
Yes, finally. 谢谢。All right, now my fate is in this cabbie's hands. If I can't find this 3-dragon wall, you'll never see me on Travelogue again. All right, deal? See you later. 谢谢。It turns out that the 3-dragon wall is located at the entrance to Guanyin, or Goddess of Mercy Temple, around 7.5 kilometers west of the city. Thank Goddess of Mercy I didn't try to walk there. Hooray! I'm so happy. Well, it's been a long day, but I found something like 20 plus dragons. My math is really bad. Anyway, I reckon I'm a very worthy direct descendant of these legendary beasts. I mean, my maths is bad and so is my sense of direction, but my determination has been unwavering on this dragon-themed quest. Coming up next, I go from 2 legs to 2 wheels, and our motorcycle journey along the Great Wall begins. And besides learning to ride, I learned how to make noodles too. So many great things. The Great Wall of China, one of the world's most famous landmarks and one of mankind's most impressive architectural feats. The Great Wall is actually not one single wall, but a series of fortifications built at different times to protect different Chinese states and empires against attack from various nomadic groups. Most of what's left today was built during the Ming Dynasty, from the mid-1300s to 1600. According to some archaeological surveys, the entire wall, with all its branches, measures a mind-boggling 21,000 kilometers.
Now, historically, Datong's location was very important in terms of military strategy, and that's why you can see some ruins of the Great Wall here. And this is where this chapter of adventure is going to begin. Let's hit the road.
Back in Beijing, I usually get around on my trusty electric scooter, but out here in Datong, I've decided to figure out how to ride a real motorbike, albeit a modest 150cc one. I admit, it's a steep learning curve. I've stalled it at least 50 times on these dirt hills, maybe 500 times, and the blooper reel is full of repeated fails and resultant expletives, but I'll make sure it'll never grace your screens. Instead, why don't you delight in these soothing scenes of the Great Wall? Unlike many of the restored stone sections closer to Beijing, the segments in Datong were mostly constructed with rammed earth. To me, they're hauntingly beautiful in their wild and crumbling form, raw and ravishing in their remoteness. While a motorbike is the most effective mode of transport on these mountains, much of it just has to be done by foot. This is the wall's Motianling section, erected on treacherous terrain more than 2,200 meters above sea level.
In the ancient times, this section of the Great Wall had its very own complete military defense system, including that tower that you can see in the distance behind me. Now, on it are 2 Chinese characters that have been inscribed there, saying Zhenning, which was a message for the people here to safeguard peace. Now, if only I could safeguard the piece of my hair.
Yep, it's awfully windy today, making the trek up to the 17-meter tall fortress even tougher. It's not much easier once inside either, the steps being almost vertical. Besides the top layer of grey bricks, the structure is original, one of the best preserved relics of the Datong Great Wall.
So I've just counted 14 of these openings in this tower. And centuries ago, during times of warfare, there would have been soldiers stationed at them so they could see whether there were any invaders coming and defend their territory. Phew. I mean, I know bloodshed is never good, but I do wonder what this place would have been like back during times of conflict.
The conflict between the Ming and the Mongols was long and bloody, taking a toll on the empire. Though parts of this Great Wall were built some 2,700 years ago, it was the Ming emperors who took the concept to another level, pouring substantial resources into its expansion, reinforcement, and repair. Not too far from where I am, along the same Motianling stretch of Great Wall in Zuoyun County, a rather peculiar sight meets my eye. Again, it can only be reached by foot, although I can't complain. It's chilly but sunny as I walk alongside these isolated but iconic vestiges of history.
Well, I know that the Great Wall spans many kilometers, and also there are many churches here in this country, but I dare say there's only one place where there's a church at the Great Wall. Now, that over there is a Catholic church that was built in 1876, and apparently it's one of the 7 holiest sites for Catholics in this country.
I am in awe. Right by the dilapidated Great Wall ruins, in Ba Taizi village, the remains of a Gothic cathedral stand silently, still, stoic, and striking. It was called Shengmu Tang, or Holy Mother Church, and what's left are just its front gate, bell tower, and parts of the spire, and pigeons, of course. This holy place was erected by Jesuits who settled in the area, only to be destroyed in 1900 during the Boxer Rebellion, an uprising in opposition to Western colonialism and Christian missionary activity. And since then, like the nearby ruins of the Great Wall, it's been eroded by the elements and corroded by time, a mysterious monument of antiquity. I'm a bit curious about the more populated part of Batai's village, and probably missing human interaction, so I head towards civilization. It's a small and serene hamlet flanking the Great Wall, and as I quickly discover, home to some multi-talented ladies.
你们好，你们是在做什么？啊，我们在做油面。油面啊，哦，这个跟这个是一样的。不是，这个是叫油面窝窝。哦，这个叫油面丝丝。丝丝。嗯，这个像面条是不是下水？不是不是，不是。这拿罗接这。拿来蒸的。对对对，这嗯。这有点干了。
These lovely ladies are hands down the friendliest pasta making machines I've ever come across, even though what they're producing looks like spaghetti and upright cannelloni. It's actually regional oat-based staple food. The noodles are made from oat flour, and I'm told their nutritional value is at least 7 times that of noodles made from refined wheat flour.
说山西好风光，鸡飞水美无故乡。左手一指太行山，右手一指。 十里梁，站在那高处往上一望，你看那风和的水呀，哗啦啦地流过我的小唇旁。
Coming up next, a warm and wonderful discovery on a motorcycle journey, a watering hole in the wild, and after a wash, we ride to the front line in Datong. And so we continue our journey in Datong, along the Great Wall of China, and by the resting place of Empress Feng, widow and regent of Northern Wei Dynasty ruler in the 5th century. It's a lengthy expedition. The Great Wall in Datong measures 343 kilometers. But the scenery is spectacular, and even though I'm pretty beat, I'm at long last getting a much better feel for the clutch and the gears.
I am so knackered, and it's really dry and dusty out here, but I've heard that there are some hot springs here, and even though I have forgotten to pack my swimwear, I'm still going to go check them out. All right.
Look at that. I'm not about to give that a miss. Unfortunately, I have some reasonably appropriate attire.
Well, this is like a little slice of paradise, isn't it? It's definitely not what I expected to find in the middle of Datong, this oasis. Anyway, I've heard that the water is about 40 degrees, which isn't going to be the most refreshing dip, but it's going to be perfect for some R&R.
Yep, rest and recuperation is exactly what I need. And a soak in hot springs is supposed to be therapeutic, right? Anything to ease those tired muscles of mine. Plus, the locals claim that Yanggao, the county where we are right now, is the hometown of longevity. The population density of centenarians is apparently among the highest in China. It doesn't require much to convince me that the longer I immerse myself, the longer I'll live. The hot spring resort here isn't just about geothermal H2O though. There's a fake beach and a wave pool too. Datong is full of surprises, so rich in history, in nature, and random things to do.
A little bit of me time never hurt anyone, right? Especially here, you know, it's been so good for the mind, body, and soul. I know there's still a bit of journey to go, but is it okay if I spend a bit longer here, please? Thank you.
Well, it's time to warm up the engine and hit the road again. I'm feeling confident on covered surfaces, but soon we're onto gravel and mud, which is much more demanding. I've always stuck my tongue out when I'm concentrating, even as a wee kid. But this time, I obviously wasn't concentrating hard enough. I mentally check that all my body parts are intact, and note that I only have one pair of black jeans for this filming trip. Smart move, huh?
你还 OK， 我还 OK， 不是风太大了，是风太大了，跟这里太，是路太滑了，太滑了哈。有事儿吗？没有没有，太脏了。脏了。哎呀，太滑了这里。
So, breaking news. I've just had my very first motorbike accident. It's just a little boo-boo, don't worry, Mum and Dad. The roads are really slippery because it's been raining, so yeah, just slipped in a puddle of mud, I guess. Yeah, it's been crazy weather here while we've been in Datong, making it really difficult for the cameramen and the drone operators, and me, of course. And today, as you can tell with my hair, it's particularly windy, almost gale force. So I recommend if you do come to Datong to come during May or after May, because that's when the weather gods calm down a little bit. Anyway, we'll make the most of it though while we're here. Let's pop back on, unless you're too scared to get on now. All right.
Next and final stop for the time being, Xinpingbu Town, Tianzhen County. It's at the northernmost tip of Shanxi Province, adjoining Hebei Province, and Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region. Xinpingbu Town was once upon a time a thriving commercial center, home to successful Jinshang. These were prominent Shanxi businessmen who for 500 years dominated and even monopolized northern Chinese commerce. It's a living, breathing fossil of olden-day China that's truly worth a wonder on two legs. In 2015, it was nationally recognized and listed as a traditional ancient Chinese town. Many of the residences are grand, having once belonged to wealthy and influential merchant families. But not everyone could afford to have ornate brick carvings adorning their front door. On closer inspection, it's even more lavish than I first thought. Exotic and lifelike flora and fauna designed to attract luck, prosperity, and health to the household. Upon entering the compound, I'm met by a rare 3.5-meter tall yingbi, or screen wall, an ornamental partition depicting the moon goddess Chang'e. The courtyards are numerous and spacious, and I can imagine just how splendid, how sumptuous they would have been in their heyday. Strolling around Xinpingbo town, it's almost as if I've travelled back in time. Right at the axis is the Jade Emperor Pavilion, built in 1593. The Jade Emperor is the Emperor of Heaven in the ancient Chinese philosophy and religion of Taoism. The pavilion housed a shrine where people would pray to the Jade Emperor for peace. It also served as a watchtower on the front line facing the northern nomads.
Hey, guess what? I'm not in Datong anymore. I'm not even in Shanxi province. This is Inner Mongolia. But if I walk 3 steps this way, I'm back in Datong. Well, this is the provincial border between Shanxi and Inner Mongolia. And obviously, it's a new road, but it's actually the Great Wall of China. So if we keep heading up that way, I'll show you the real deal.
The cement path separating Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region from Shanxi province soon gives way to the weathered, rammed earth remains of the Great Wall, snaking through the countryside. It's desolate out here, yet eerily evocative. Really, there's so much more to Datong than it's often given credit for. Typically the Yungang grottos we visited last episode on Travelogue, and the Hanging Temple we'll visit next time. On that note, make sure you catch the 3rd part of this Datong series.
That is not a bad view, hey? Well, this brings us to the end of our motorcycle journey across Datong along the Great Wall. We've travelled from the west to the very east, and guess we can't go any further, so this is it. It has been a pretty great experience, you know, we've encountered quite a few obstacles, but overall, it's been a very, very, very unforgettable adventure. Well, I am definitely going to miss my bike.
In the next episode of Travelogue, I hike up volcanoes in search of ancient temples and find one clinging to a cliff like you would not believe. Join me in this 3rd and final episode of our exciting Datong series for an adrenaline-pumping adventure.